that will do your project management. They have a lot of experience combined. First of all, Marcel Corbin, I'll let him introduce himself. Marcel?
Nice to meet you.
How do you do?
Well, Marcel, give him a little bit of have you started recording yet or not yet?
Yes, Leo, you're on, Leo.
Okay, so Marcel, if you wouldn't mind, remember, we only have about an hour, so don't take too much time introducing yourself.
Good morning, Marcel Corman. Of special note is I have experience with Century Village. I was executive director at Century Village Deerfield. And I left there at the very beginning of 2015. And we were involved with a big retrofit of infrastructure as well. We have questions related to that.
And after that,
After that, I was operations director at Brickell City Center in downtown Miami. And that was a very big project, very urban, lifestyle centered with a hotel, condominiums, 780 condominiums in 2 high-rise towers, office buildings, retail, hotel, and parking.
You wanna field questions one by one or after they're
Sure,
all done?
whenever you're ready, this is,
You anticipate being involved in the design phase? These fiber backbones, I'm not gonna get into a great technical debate with you, but there's more to it than meets the eye. And it starts at a certain point. Are you in it all the way or just when they start digging and installing wires?
I
All
mean,
the way, yeah,
I can
so-
answer a little bit. We're definitely gonna be in a design phase. That's actually the most critical phase because, obviously everything else is the foundation. So looking at the design, make sure that the fiber to the building is built correctly with, minimal interruption to the community. Obviously, the trenching there's gonna be quite a bit of trenching that is gonna take place. So we're definitely gonna be involved from the design phase, from early stages of the design
My
phase.
understanding is you're going to be doing directional boring. Shouldn't
Correct.
be too much digging. Are you, if I believe the contract, word for word, it's only on campus, not with the line coming up from the data vault?
right, so, they're gonna have to bring fiber here.
No, I'm asking,
Yeah.
is this crew gonna be involved in checking out that line installation all the way up
Everything.
from?
Everything on this property, coming into this property, we're gonna check, make sure that it's the proper depth.
Because they have to acquire a conduit fiber all the way from at least Boca or even further.
Well, they're in Miami Beach, actually.
Yes, okay.
But they've already started coming off the beach.
In the data vault,
Their data vault is in North Bay
a little
Village.
north of Miami.
Yep.
I mean, I'm just trying to understand if.
The bottom line is, this is the biggest job that they've done. So we wanted to make sure that we had an all-star team to deal with them.
See, I wanna know what they're gonna do. Are they gonna have radio links? Are they gonna lease? Are they gonna purchase new fiber? Which is a big deal.
Combination thereof.
I think that it's combination, but I don't think that they're gonna do any wireless on that.
No, it's no wireless, no, it's all fiber.
It's gonna be fiber, and we can double check and confirm, but I can 99% assure you that they're gonna do fiber, because nowadays, nobody's doing especially with the amount of fiber that we have here in South Florida, going from here all the way out of state, so.
Aries, why don't you talk about your background, because it's quite extensive, and what are you involved with, what are you involved in your career?
Been involved with fiber optic since '92, right after Hurricane Andrew, and built thousands or hundreds of thousands of miles throughout the U.S. Built the fiber, one of the first fiber links from South Dade to Key West, right after Hurricane Andrew, and been heavily involved with fiber to the home, fiber to the buildings in the last probably 15 years now. So this is, as much as it's a new technology for a lot of communities, it's kind of older technologies for pretty much an older technology at this point. There's a lot of enhancements. When I started with fiber to the home, it was only a 1 gig service. Today 100 meg service. Today it's 1 gig, and actually we're talking about 10 gig service to the homes.
This is my big concern. Internet here is an optional part of the contract.
Okay.
So this is going to start at some level. We don't know what level of penetration. And it's gonna creep, creep, and creep.
Sure.
And it's starting at 100 megabit,
Okay.
alright? Although Atlantic Broadband has on the table a 250 megabit option for $44, something like that. Is there gonna be sufficient bandwidth if the internet component really takes hold?
Oh, absolutely. And the beautiful part about bringing fiber to the home, fiber to the campus, fiber to the building is you're limited to the equipment that you put on both ends. So not going back far, maybe 10 plus years, we only had 300 kilobits. You know, nobody even thought about 1 meg. Now we're talking about 100 meg. So obviously the technology advanced, and the more people asking why 1 gig. I mean, you know, obviously today the contents, you don't have content to support 1 gig. But as soon as more people have the 1 gig service, then at that point, content providers will start developing it. Same thing as HDTV. HDTV, people were buying HDTV, spending thousands of dollars, but there wasn't contents, the same contents that you had on standard definition TV, you had on HD. But as soon as more people had it, the content providers start developing. And it's kind of, if you build it, they'll come.
Exactly.
That's the same thing over here.
Exactly. And you go and ask someone, and I've had this multiple times, oh, they want 100 megabit, oh, look, 250 megabit. And I say, dear, what are you going to do with your internet? He says, well, I send email to my grandkids, and sometimes they send me a picture.
That's the pictures.
And I'm thinking, Jesus, you know, it's instant gratification. They want the website to open before their finger hits the button. It's
Exactly.
ludicrous.
So if you,
See, for most people here, Atlantic Broadband's offer of 25 megabit, until there's real 4K content in volume here,
absolutely.
is more than adequate.
But I want them to take the same picture that they get from their grandkids and use the old technology that we had not a long time ago, 10 years ago.
Dial-up, I understand,
Dial-up.
yeah.
You know, and see if they would have been happy getting the
No,
picture from
of
their
course not.
grandkids.
Of course.
You know, or nowadays FaceTime and, you know, the different things that they don't really realize, but that's what taking the bandwidth out there. People have Netflix nowadays, and, you know, they enjoy Netflix as well. So obviously now you're streaming videos. So they don't realize when they click the YouTube video that they're of their grandchildren, you know, just going and doing a recital dance, it's taking a lot of bandwidth.
So, Aries, tell them about, Aries and I have worked together since 92.
Yeah.
We actually tested the internet in 93 at a cable system in North Day where we had a customer service rep out in Pembroke Pines, and our head end was in North Miami. He ran fiber, not only he rebuilt all of Kendall, the properties that were damaged.
I can beat that. I had an ARPANET terminal 10 feet from my desk in the early 80s.
Yeah, no, we
I
know you're
understand.
way ahead of
I
that.
understand this, but what projects like this have you done before?
Well, we're doing a project right now in Boca West is one of the projects that
They
we
they
do.
went with Hotwire, he started doing project management.
Different provider, but Hotwire.
Carlander?
Carlander,
Carlander.
An optical node in every unit?
optical
Yes.
node every unit.
That was a neat offer.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
was
they're-
gonna,
but
he
they-
was, he
they're-
was gonna bring the whole baseband up here. Pull off the crypto, gonna have a processing center here, down translate it into cable ready TV spectrum. So nobody would have to learn a complex remote. It was brilliant. They could use the same remote they've been using on their TV for years. That 50 button remote from Comcast killed people in here. It killed them.
Oh, yeah.
We were running classes for over a year. God, I don't wanna do that
Changes
again.
technology.
See, that's what I'm afraid of with X1 or TiVo.
Right, so part of what we're going to do is help you educate the homeowners here. Because it is a change,
Here's another piece. I don't know whether they would get involved. I got 7,854 people with Comcast gear that has to go back. I cannot visualize these people all traipsing down to 1401 North Point and standing in line for hours. Can we get some help with that?
Absolutely.
Is this within the purview,
Absolutely.
really?
So just to finish up on Aries, a little bit more of Marcel,
Yeah.
he's been involved in, probably since '92. Done fiber all over the United States, a lot of it in Canada as well. He's
Yes,
worked for
in Canada.
AT&T. He ran fiber to all the major venues in South Florida, the stadiums,
Yeah.
the TV stations. When you build fiber down to the Keys, you had to take care of the deer, the rat.
Challenging, yeah, the wood rat permits and, it's like
Permits
permits that they
Yes.
never really think that
Yes.
you have, but, yes. Actually, today when you watch, if you watch, well, you're not in a channel 6 over here, but if you were watching channel 6 and they broadcast live from Key West, it's right in the fibers that we build. What we did actually, we eliminated the need to do a satellite trucks and having, and all what they're doing is they're driving microwave truck down to the Keys, beaming up to one of the hotels over there where we set up the transmitters and they get it onto their studios. So kind of eliminated a lot of these feeds, and actually the cable companies today benefit from a direct fiber link between their studios and the towers.
All you guys gonna work on this?
These three guys,
Yeah.
Question,
yeah.
what comes first,
The chicken.
project or the management of the
According to
project?
The design,
Socrates is the chicken first.
Yeah, no, it's you obviously need to have a project team in place so we can work with the provider, in this case Atlantic Broadband.
So do
and
you
obviously-
dictate to the provider?
We work with them. We can't tell them, we want you guys to do, obviously they have their technology that they presented to you. We gotta work, and you guys agreed on, so now we have to work with what they have. Now, one thing that we wanna work with you and understanding your phases, is there any construction that you guys have, like water and sewer projects or any special projects that and I'm sure you have quite a bit going on, so we need to direct the provider to, hey, we don't want you to start in this area, we need you to start in this area. That's where we're gonna work with. We were gonna work with them as far as the trenching that you do wanna put, or that area is not gonna be a great area. We need you guys to move or place some of your cabinets or any one of your equipment to this area. So we're pretty involved in the design
Yeah,
phase.
the design's gonna come from them. However, these guys are gonna review it to ensure that it's to the benefit of, Century Village.
Is there a time frame on the design phase?
On everything, there's a
probably
time
starting
frame,
right
and he'll.
Do we know the time frame?
Well, we need to develop, that's the other
Yeah.
thing that we need to do is develop. We know we have 2 years to do the build out. 2 years meaning the last customer need to be hooked up within that 2 years. So we need to develop with them, a timeline on different phases and expectation when each phase is gonna be complete.
Now, is that 2 years in Century Village? What happens to get to Century Village?
All the
The
way.
entire from the,
They're likely to be selected by Golden Lakes, is it Golden, no, I'm sorry,
Cypress Lake.
thank you, Cypress Lakes. And they have to be active over there a year from now. So they need to be running fiber to that community, which we represent that community as well, within a year, which makes me feel better that they have a commitment earlier than you
Alright.
here.
How,
This is a city, they're actually building fiber for a city.
how do you anticipate lighting up this campus? Will it be all or none the day before the
No,
contract, or will it
let
come
me finish
across?
on his background.
it's gotta be in
Yeah.
phases because there's no way we can flip a
It's
switch
impossible.
and 8,000 people will be
Exactly.
watching, yeah.
So when would you anticipate the first little chunk or cluster will be lit up here?
Within less than a year.
In less than a year. Oh, that's lovely.
Based on your
Anytime before March will be excellent.
So
You have 8,000 units, there's no chance that they're gonna have 8,000 units
course
within the
not.
last month. So obviously, that's the part that we're gonna need to go back and obviously
Alright.
start our drawing board and start
Now,
putting,
This
schedule.
question is gonna be a little tough on you guys, I think. What do you put in a table that's at risk if they fail? How are you gonna ensure They're ready to go.
Yeah, so
The
let
day Comcast turns off
That's a
their
great
feed.
question. Let me, before you answer that, let me finish with him because he has a lot of accomplishments, so does
Okay.
Marcel.
That's fine.
So
Yeah.
he's worked with, has done work for Comcast, Verizon, Cox Communication, Bright
Google
House,
Fiber.
Time Warner, Google Fiber. All the multifamily that Google Fiber has done in
Cox.
Kansas City, in Atlanta, in Austin.
Kansas City, Atlanta, and Austin.
It's been done by him, so he supervised a lot of these projects. My concern is that we needed somebody of their talents, and I'll mention here in a second, because this is a city. We're building a city here, there's a lot of work here. And honestly, Atlantic Broadband, to my knowledge, has never done a project this size. So I like to sleep at night.
That raises
To-
great confidence.
It does, because I have confidence in these guys.
Well, and
Because
that's
they-
why we
yeah.
gonna, I mean, we need to start day one. We need to start after this meeting, pretty
I
much.
agree.
Yeah.
Engaging with
They've already
Atlantic
reached out to
Broadband.
Atlantic Broadband.
We know some of their players over there, but we don't know that that's the player that's gonna be assigned to this particular project. So we need to have a single point of contact, we call that person Spock, single point of contact, and that person is our interface with them and obviously build the schedule that we need to build in order and hold them accountable for that timelines. So we need to put, starting today, put a schedule that with a timeline and a
Gantt
benchmark.
charts,
And to take it all the way to the finish line.
milestones, so if we know that they need to run fiber, from wherever they're coming from to here, that's gonna require the Department of Transportation permits, it's gonna require cities along the way. There's a massive, machine.
Might be even an agreement that they might have for a lease agreement of somebody else
They're gonna lease.
infrastructure.
Yeah, so he has a lot of experience, he's doing Morco West at this point, you're also doing Pelican
Pelican Landing.
Landing in Naples. About 3,500 units, so
Yep.
he's used to having developed his own systems, apps that the frontline supervisor that day uploads how many miles of fiber they did that day, and he's able to figure out, are they on track, are they behind track?
We have weekly meetings and we make sure that everything is on track, see the progress. Obviously, we can tell the progress based on the previous week versus this week. Obviously, the last couple of weeks, unfortunately, in South Florida, it's been raining quite a bit. So, how do we recover from, shortfall in the last couple of weeks? Because obviously, we still have the deadline to meet.
My question is, what is the power of your group?
The other
To light
power,
a fire under these people
very
and
good
make
question.
sure, you said the term Gantt chart, you wanna date me, go back to PERT charts, but the worst thing that could happen to whoever's occupying this building when that Comcast feed is pulled is that nobody has television to watch.
That's not gonna happen because there'll be milestones along the way, milestones.
Exactly.
So by September 1st or September 30th, there's gonna be a design, it may be October, I don't know. But at that point, there's gonna be commitments made by them that says, okay, by November, we would have done this, by December, we would have done that. And every week, there's updates against what the plan is, and it gets adjusted.
And we'll be presenting those to
And
you.
at the same
Yeah.
time,
You
obviously,
just said something. We have some people here who are not technically illiterate. We don't
I
assume
told
we're
them
a
that.
bunch of dummies here. On the tech side, we want reports. Not to interfere, not to slow things down, but we wanna be in the loop. So we,
I get weekly reports from, Pelican, those are our clients, oh, there you go.
this
There's
is,
some.
this is, one report, it's
That's a weekly
similar,
report.
that's a weekly reports that you guys will get. And it's broken down to the phases and the top page is a cover. I can run another, give you another one.
So there'll be weekly reports with that, there'll be, constant, meetings with them to make sure that there are.
It takes a few months to put together a plan.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's
It's up to them to
we
do
obviously
the
need to
design.
work with them, we don't do their design.
Right.
We do a lot of recommendation for them, we obviously consult with you guys to see what.
you know their tech people, you work with their techies?
We don't work with their tech, we work with their single point of contact,
Their
their
manager.
manager.
That's gonna be Reagan?
I
No,
tell you-
he's a sales guy. No, it's
No, I mean, the
Mike
construction.
Carl and Charlie Roberts.
We obviously, nowadays with labor laws, we have co-employment issues, so we cannot direct their people, but we can talk to their managers. Otherwise, they become our employees and we really don't want to hire their employees in-house. So,
What are the condition of your roads? At Century Village in Deerfield, the roads were about to be resurfaced.
What,
And what we did is we took advantage of that to do whatever cutting we needed ahead of time.
what vehicle weights are you concerned with?
it's pickup trucks, I mean, it's not really,
This is not a problem. Alright? And we run 55-foot long furniture trucks through here, loaded to the gills.
Yeah.
Road
moving
should-
trucks are probably heavier
The
than,
road should be fine.
3 times as heavy as
Do
ours.
you have any projects in the next couple of years that are on the board that?
That's a key, if you have any,
Alright, the water company they don't have enough valves. And that situation becomes, there's a break, there's a
And
mains
the
break.
valves don't hold the ones that are there.
No, hold on, let me, I'll tell you. So they have to turn off a valve and put 300 people on boil water alert.
Wow.
So now what they're doing, they're putting in many more valves. They've been stringing us along on this project for 6 years, but they're doing it. And that'll allow them, hopefully, to only have to turn off one building, right?
And these valves are on what size mains, and at what point do you pick them up?
I can get you a map, anywhere from 2-inch to 12-inch.
Oh, even the 2-inch ones?
Yeah.
Yes, so, yes, we're gonna have to work that, we're gonna have to do the deconfliction on this. My God, water has been putting us off for years. And you guys are gonna obviously take priority. And we'll tell the head of department, we'll tell Hachimiri, chief engineer, no, you can't have this today, you can't have it for a week, you can't have it for a month.
well, what we need to do in cases like that, we need to understand their schedule, work with whoever is in charge on their upgrades, because obviously you wanna do the upgrades, it's important, that's why you're doing it. So
Cam here can help you out.
yeah, so we'll work together with your, landscaping people, we'll work with any
Yeah.
development that you have to make sure that we are not on the way of each other. And that's what we can develop the schedule with you guys.
Glad to hear
and your
that,
input.
remember you're on video,
What's that?
you're on video. All these promises.
Oh, no, no problem. I mean, we will work with we wanna work with, that's part of the,
Yeah,
it's not a promise, it's really important for us to do because we wanna make sure that it's as seamless as possible. Now, if we have an issue with, I cannot speak on behalf of Atlantic Broadband, but we need to make sure that they're on board.
should they
With
have been
everything
here
that you do.
today?
I'm sorry?
Should they have been here today?
No,
Might be
we,
premature a little bit.
the next step is for them to meet with Atlantic Broadband and basically say, okay, what do you have planned? What are your challenges? What cascade of miracles must you meet in order to make sure that somebody's alive there?
Roy has a question.
I wanna ask you a question. That looks similar to a Gantt chart, okay? Are you guys gonna put something together like that for Century Village?
Absolutely.
Big
When?
time.
Well,
Once you know the plan,
after-
plan,
I
yeah.
look
Little-
at that map and I see at least 3 areas that you could isolate right now and put it into a Gantt chart.
You wanna answer that?
Absolutely, we can, I'm looking at that as multiple phases, so we need to take this entire property and put it into different phases.
Right,
Then develop a Gantt chart
Right.
of, and before we even start the Gantt chart, we need to meet with Atlantic Broadband. Have them commit for certain days, and then we can start our Gantt chart. We have a generic one right now, pretty much what's need to take place. Let's say design phase, construction phase, installation, splicing phase, installation phases, but we can't, I mean, I can put right now, the guys that gonna be working here, they don't work for us. We managing them, we not, let me rephrase it, we don't manage them. We make sure that whatever they
I
promise
understand.
happens.
But-
And if it doesn't happen, we address it with everybody over here on the table and look to see what action we're gonna need to take. Hopefully that's will never be the case.
Here's
But-
my concern as an owner and a representative of Century Village.
Yep.
On the contract, it states that the contract starts from the time David signed. We've been in, you signed a week or two now, right?
Yeah, June
And we
5th.
need to start right away.
You should at least have had a chart for us by now.
No, it's
Well,
not, it's not,
Hmm?
not these guys,
Yeah,
Atlantic
you're
Broadband.
not Atlantic Broadband?
We're not Atlantic Broadband.
But let me just also be clear, this is a city, for them to do a design,
Quién es Atlantic Broadband? Who are
who are they?
you? Yeah, who are you?
Engineers.
Right, so.
We are the project management for you guys. We're gonna be working for you guys.
I know about that.
Maybe.
Who are they? So they're,
I thought we were gonna be working hand in hand with Atlantic Broadband.
we are.
Yeah.
Yes,
They are.
we will.
Yeah.
We will be working with Atlantic Broadband once we, I mean, our next step is, this is becoming our kickoff meeting. Once we start, after today, we're gonna meet with Atlantic Broadband, start developing the schedule. I mean, this is a big community, so I don't expect to have it done in 2 weeks because I don't want him to rush
Yeah,
to
we want
to give you
to
just
do it
something
right.
to satisfy you. You know, obviously we want him to satisfy you, but the right way. I mean, not just here is the schedule, here you go, or that's what we're gonna do, and they don't meet.
Let me just ask you a question and then
Leo, I came in a little bit late, I'm sorry, have you worked with Atlantic Broadband before?
yes,
How many times before?
Probably in the last 10 years, 10, 15 years, even before they were Atlantic Broadband, before they were charter, and I worked with
Have you
them
worked
back
with
then.
any other cable companies besides them?
Comcast,
Everybody. Verizon,
Verizon,
AT&T,
Hotwire.
Hotwire.
So you basically focus on working with this
CSI.
type of.
oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Alright, thank you.
Just a question, we have buildings here that are 40 years old. I don't know, from some of the things that you said, many of the communities are much newer than ours.
Correct.
And so one of the concerns we have is disrupting the people, bringing in the wire and so on and so forth. And we want to know that you guys have that experience of being able to do it in such a way as one, not to disrupt people living there and the interior of the apartments and so on, and to cope with the types of construction we have here, which may be different than the ones that you're used to now.
That's a good point. Every building, every unit's gonna have to be evaluated to make sure that the wire can carry the new services. Obviously, you know, we can put you can put a new car, I mean, but if the tires are still old, you know, or the engine is, you know, so you wanna make sure the wires are good. So they're gonna have to evaluate, and if they need to pull a new cable, they're gonna need to run a new cable, and we're gonna need to look at the building itself. Can we use the existing conduit to pull a new cable into the unit, or does a different way of wiring? Because some of the times you really can't do anything but rewire the building in some kind of a way. So we're gonna need to really evaluate that, and we'll work with Atlantic Broadband and come up with the best solution out there.
Right, there's a sign that, being a New Yorker, born and raised, that pops into my mind when Stuart raises this question. By the Great Consolidated Edison Company, it used to be the bane of every driver's existence. Dig we must for a better New York.
Right.
And it used to back traffic up for miles sometimes. I think it would be very neat, you guys clearly have the background to write an article for our paper as to what might be expected when to
There's gonna be a lot of articles.
I'm just saying, we need to start preparing people. This is
Clearly.
not gonna be magic, this is not gonna be the good cable ferry
Right.
that comes and goes overnight and oh bingo, there's the new network.
Absolutely.
So maybe some kind of article,
Oh, every,
And I
publish
think-
once a month or twice a month?
And I think that, one of the
So,
articles
every
would
month.
need to be published is obviously the schedule, because there's a unit in one corner that is gonna be probably done first, and there is a unit in one corner that is gonna to be probably done the last. And you're talking about from the first to the last, at least over a year, so maybe these people over here are not gonna be too concerned with that today, but we're gonna have to remind them in about 6 months or 7 months that, hey, we're coming in 3 months to them, because they're gonna forget about it, because they're not gonna see anybody for a year.
Part of the plan, in addition to having a design commitments for Atlantic Broadband and all that, is going to be communication to the community. And it's gonna be, I foresee every month having a column, basically as to
Your
where we are
reporter
with the
comes up
project.
monthly.
Yeah. By the way, Atlantic Broadband has also made commitments to you that they're gonna be paying for some of these ads as well. So it's not just, it's editorial.
Not that they are paying.
No, they are, thank you. But what I'm saying is, so that's the advertising part of it. However, we'll be providing the editorial in terms of where with the project and all that. There's gonna be, I would also assume that we'll use your community channels as well to provide them information, possibly a website, it's,
This is all important to us because we're dealing with a lot of people. Some of them have very negative attitudes towards what we're doing. And we have to ensure that the good news is out there.
right.
And the progress is out there. It makes people feel good. They can see it in writing that we're doing what we have to do. And it's moving along at a rate that's acceptable. And that minimizes the negativity, and this is what
Yeah.
we're dealing
Communication.
with.
And
is
most
key,
people
correct.
don't like change, that's the biggest thing that we see, is nobody want change. They are used to that way, and when they gonna start watching their TV, well, I used to have it this way and now it's this way. People don't like change, but it's actually change for the
It
better.
goes a lot deeper than that with some of the people here, and this is what we're coping with. So we would like to put a nice rosy coat on it,
Yeah.
but it's gotta be the truth, that's all
Yeah.
we're.
No,
Oh, yeah,
it's-
100%.
And it changed for the better.
Yes.
Hear from Donald, you have a question?
Yeah, Mr. Corman, I wanted to address your question about the roads, which I took to mean the state of our roads. Here's the state. We're about 6 years out from our last property-wide repaving job. So this being Florida, we are at the point where we're constantly patrolling for problem areas and maintaining as we find them. We are anticipating the extra traffic. So I just wanted to let you know that it is something we're gonna be constantly looking at, areas that, the roads are failing in some places, and we are addressing that.
And that's,
You guys can be rolling a lot on the roads, so I could see that that's a question.
and that's important to know, because if you have any pavement, roads that you're paving, maybe, or some kind of other activities, we can combine it with the Atlantic Broadband activities and do
The
it
other
at the
thing
same
that
time.
we're gonna do, that we're gonna ask them to do that, and that is to record every single road here. So before the construction, so there's no question if there's any damage, that, when it was filmed in,
We don't wanna give you extra speed bumps.
Yeah.
The FPL has just been through this village for the last 5 years,
Okay,
putting in new power. Big cables, they didn't cut a single road, they did directional boring
oh, we don't expect that.
We don't-
either.
and pulled.
We just think that it's good to have a record before the
Sure.
construction and after the construction.
And
Because if anybody claims, oh, they damaged my, whatever,
Yeah.
petunias over there, then you can go back and rewind the tape in December of 2017.
That's a biggie,
yeah,
you're gonna run into a lot of that.
sure. And 90%.
We had an issue in Naples recently where a homeowner claims that the construction of the fiber damaged their tree. Unfortunately for him, we had a recording of the tree, and the tree looked like it was dead prior to,
Or I can tell you some stories in Google Earth. I mean, I don't know if Google ever drove inside your community,
No, they haven't.
but in a lot of places, that's a great also tool to use, is we can see how the road was done in 3-4 years ago when they drove versus how it is today, and it's, wait a minute, it's not any different.
If you
I can
could get-
talk to you stories about that,
If you
so.
can get that truck into this community, we'd really appreciate that. That'd be so helpful. Have
Google Streets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
think it's
can't.
because,
My daughter worked for Google, so I could do that.
Yeah.
that's
certainly make my
I'm
life easier.
serious.
And you didn't have Google make this a senior citizen test bed?
Oh, they're out of the fiber business pretty much.
Well, they're looking for more of the high-rise buildings
Yes,
and,
yeah,
you know.
they're afraid, actually what happened is, because you're involved with this, they went to Austin, Texas, and they found out that it's rock.
Yeah.
And it was costing them
Oh,
10 times what it normally costs to cut through rock.
I went there, they went to Nashville, so it's a
Yeah.
long story, but
David, their spokesman or your spokesman could do a weekly or a bi-monthly or a monthly cast from right here to your to your World Wide Web and to Channel 95,
Go ahead.
whenever you wanted to do it.
Oh, okay.
So speaking of Channel 95 and all that, one of the things that we need to identify is where in this community do you need fiber either today or in the next 2, 3, 4 years? Yes, sir. Because we need to plan for that.
Each one of the pools, is that what you're talking
Okay,
about?
that and everywhere else.
Leo, we were talking about which sections get lit up first. Ken and I were discussing this over the weekend. The idea came to me of Clubhouse, Fitness Center, Yuko office first. Because that's where the community come in and see the upcoming
We agree,
service.
we agree, definitely.
Come in and watch our television and get excited about what's coming.
Yeah.
Versus what you have
That's a
now.
great point.
Yeah.
That's part of what we do. We make sure that basically the places that you mentioned are first. And number two is some of you. So in other words, we wanna make sure that you're first. You're the guinea pig for installs and all that type of thing. So members of the committee would be first, and not because of putting them first, so they can then talk to their neighbors in terms of what's to be expected, what their experience is like, what to expect and all that, so.
Leo, is there any
Clubhouse,
possibility
Fitness
of
Center, and what else?
fitness center, the main clubhouse and this
You're
building?
talking about the amenities, the amenity area.
Yeah, pretty much.
Remember that my name used to be Dr. Doom?
Yes,
AT&T is under mandate by the FCC to pull fiber to 12 million homes. We have signed an agreement with AT&T. I'm still waiting for the $50 per doorway fee.
yeah, they're still
Hold on.
evaluating, but we should get
Hold
that.
on. Don't think they don't know what's going on in this room. And what if and they're quite prepared to do it now. They've done their survey, and they decide to come in here just to play silly games with us and start pulling their fiber within the next 2 years to 7,854 units.
Great question, what happened in Boca West?
Well, we, at Boca
Exactly.
West, we actually put a delay on their project because we don't want two different companies doing work at the same time, because that's gonna be this thing, hey, who damaged that tree? Well, it's this guy's, no, it's this guy's.
Alright,
So what we did is we actually put a delay, at this point it's to 2018, they're not gonna start before 2018. And the other issue that we have is a lot of the infrastructure that we're placing today is still dark fiber, and if somebody cuts it, again, we will not know until we're ready to activate. And at that point, you know, we can't realize, oh yeah, the fiber is cut the day we activate the customer.
Right.
So we're gonna have to put some kind of a delay.
Yeah,
We can't allow them to be at the same time.
you guys will work with locates?
Yes,
Absolutely.
ABB is working with Locate, it's required by law.
Yeah, but just to finish your point, we did it the other way in St. Lucie, community up there, where we said, Comcast is gonna come in a year later, we said, okay, AT&T, hurry up and do your work and get out of here.
That's another option.
That's what we do.
We probably, once we
Yeah.
identify the schedule from Atlantic Broadband, we're gonna need to call AT&T and say, look, either you do it, this is your time schedule. Can you do it within that time frame, or you're gonna have to wait until Atlantic
years.
Broadband is done?
Yeah.
We cannot allow two different contractors working at the same time, because it's a recipe for disaster. We've seen it before and we don't wanna have it here.
Would Atlantic Broadband agree to give us a username and password to get on their streaming service now?
Let me ask them. In terms of, I don't know if you can authenticate if you're not a customer yet,
At
but
what point, Ken?
Well, I mean, I'd like it as soon as possible.
Yeah, why not? Why can't I use it today?
we'll ask them.
You have more clout than, you
Yeah.
know.
I mean, that's a great way to test and see what we're going to get.
In the channels, yes,
I think-
but
It's
I mean, they might be able to give a, I don't know, I mean, that's
Yeah, I don't
up
know.
to you,
We'll
but
find out.
maybe
We'll
a
find out.
house channel or
I
a
think
house
they have
cam.
a sneak and peek channel, but he wants a little more, and I think it would be great if they're willing to do it. If they're willing, hey,
yeah, I'll ask, certainly,
we brought this up before.
we did.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Leo, how do you handle interaction between the current provider Comcast and the new provider Atlantic Broadband? And more specifically, what about Comcast Business, which is still a presence here and still going to be looking for customers? How do we keep them from stepping on each other while this project rolls out?
First of all, per FCC rules, Comcast has to try best efforts to coordinate with Atlantic Broadband and with AT&T. And they comply, really, there's no reason why they wouldn't, because it goes both ways.
Right, and I'm sure you know we've
So-
had an incident on Friday where a service was provided and is no longer provided.
Right, I think we're just gonna have to follow the rules, but we're willing to comply with those rules,
Okay,
so whatever they may be. They have a contract, you guys keep paying your bills every month, I know you do. So until that contract is up, both sides, you have to pay, which you do, and they have to provide the service, which they will.
Okay.
But we anticipate these kind of things. David brought up a major concern, the box returns. It is a
Oh, yeah.
major concern,
Yeah.
because it is, you're telling a lot of people, and no, our goal is not to send people to 1401 at North Point, I think it is.
Yeah.
Our goal is to help coordinate with that, and we've done different things, we work with their contractors, Comcast has contractors that go out and pick up boxes and all that. They also have a nationwide deal with UPS. And so you're able to return your box at the UPS, and I assume there's probably a
There's
UPS
probably
store,
stores all
UPS
around.
store. Thirdly, they have a nationwide deal with UPS to go pick up the box at your home. I believe they charge $5 for that, so they ship you the boxes and then UPS comes and picks up the boxes. We also will identify one or two UPS franchisees in the area to make sure that one of the things we can do is bring those companies here. The only thing that we have to make sure when we communicate with the homeowners is always get a receipt.
Yeah.
We don't want you to be turned over to a collection agency because you gave the box to somebody and then the box never made it to Comcast. So always get a receipt, but it's easy to do. I mean, we brought in these franchisees, UPS companies, because they're locally owned, they're part of the UPS network, but they're local business people.
Thing is,
So we asked them to bring their scanner here, and on a Saturday or the evening or during the day, as long as we gave them some place in this community for them to scan it, ship it back to Comcast, give the person a receipt. Keep the receipt, because there are times when things get lost.
Atlantic Broadband is not authorized to pick up the equipment.
Yeah,
They don't
won't
have
be,
the
but
mechanism.
we do that for you.
And, that's.
But it is a major concern, because some of these people have 2 or 3 boxes times 7,800, that's a lot of boxes.
I'm sure a lot of us have been down to 1401. I mean, you can get lined up and backed up in
Yeah,
that
no,
lobby.
we will do everything possible to avoid that, because it's not the best experience ever. I forgot to ask Mr. Neer,
So,
McKelly.
yeah, my experience is more in construction management. Was less than involved in fiber and wiring, more in real construction, retrofit. About 20 years ago, I think I worked with FP&L to do retrofit installation in the attics over here. About 25 years over here. So I know a lot about retrofit, how to deal with homeowner interaction and make the transition smoother than painful.
This is homeowner interaction city.
Yes.
I knew it in the past.
Yeah. So, and also former Israeli commando, so if anybody gives us a hard time, we send Neer, go take care of them. Just kidding.
Yeah, we don't kill over here.
But you live with the issues of all of our clients, I mean, Jacksonville,
Yeah,
Orlando, South Florida, Southwest Florida. And he's the frontline person, because there will be some issues. There will be some issues about, there'll be some allegations that things get stolen out of the unit, which may not happen at all.
One
We
thing
don't want
to add to
everything
that one, that's when we're gonna vet some of their, Atlantic Broadband obviously is not
Yes.
gonna do it in-house. We're gonna meet with their contractors, obviously make sure based on the contract and your requirement is get the insurance certificate
Yes.
that meets your requirement, not our requirement, it's your requirement. Make sure that they all pass background checks, because obviously they're gonna be going into people's homes. So we wanna make sure that we have the right people going into people's homes. So any contractor that they may bring over here, we obviously gonna vet first to make sure that they
The
fit
company, their insurance requirements, all the
the
requirements that you
background
have.
checks.
We're not gonna look at a individual background check.
We obviously gonna look at the passing background
Yeah.
checks, you know, or not look, but make sure that they see, there
They
is a word
certify
pass,
that in fact,
it's passed. The one that didn't pass, we probably not gonna see because they're not gonna be here.
The principal concern, and I think I'm speaking for a lot of people, we understand licensing, insurance, this is de rigueur. This is just done. My concern.
well, you'd be surprised what pushback we
It
get
was-
all the time.
We get pushbacks and we don't have the right
You know, for
limits.
instance, it claims like the following, okay, Atlantic Broadband's insurance will cover the sub, and we're like,
No,
no.
it does not.
It has to be, we have to get a certificate
To
from
make
that
sure that
sub.
it's
Workers' comp, blah, blah, blah.
Workers'
correct,
comp.
and with the
Believe me,
right
Believe
limits.
me, I have a bulldog next door and she's gonna make sure
And-
all of that is gonna happen. Her
Good.
insurance chair. I am concerned on June 20th, 2018, that this thing is in place. Alright? And because the stink that will arise if it isn't, will be smelled on the moon. Alright? That's why I like the idea of a wave rolling across this village so
Sure.
people
My
can
face.
see
Yeah,
this is happening. And it really looks neat. And this is very important, and that's what I look to you guys for. Alright? That you really, boots on the ground. And there's a technical component and there's a timeline, and it's really being pushed and it's getting done in accordance with schedule. Yes,
Marcel was
absolutely.
involved in a billion or $2 billion project.
Was $1.5 billion, was 5.4 million square feet.
Yeah, so
That was only
he's-
phase one.
So he's very much, and obviously prior to that, you did a 7 million water project at Century Village. There was some time and payback and
And
Everything else.
and in some cases, we were able to finish ahead of time.
yeah.
Yeah.
IBM, Royal Bank of Canada, I mean, he
Bank
has
of
years and
Montreal.
years. He happens to be a general contractor in Florida and you're,
Yeah, hold
Licenses
licenses,
as
utility
well.
underground license
yeah.
for the state of Florida.
Is this
Yeah.
orange cable, is that what's going in here?
You'll have a lot of fiber optic.
Orange cable is what he's asking, the conduit.
The conduit is probably gonna be either orange or gray.
Yeah.
It's all depends what they get. I prefer usually orange, but because it's
I
out.
think one of the miserable things you're gonna run into, there is so much wire and pipe in the ground here.
Absolutely.
And they're gonna be running into stuff.
Yes.
So one of the
There's
things.
stuff here
no
that
doubt.
even Locates doesn't know about.
One of the things that we like to work with is the community development group that you have over here. And obviously the sprinklers, that's something you
Yeah.
can't technically locate because it's PVC pipe. So obviously there's a lot of experience and expertise on a property that you have that we need to work
Do
with
you
your
tend to have
development.
one landscape company or several in this community?
Several.
Several.
That's usually the case that we see in
A
most
handful,
development.
100 of them,
You can't do Doppler on.
Well, there's a witch rods that you locate and it will close up
Yeah.
when you cross. There's some techniques that you can do to try to eliminate, but obviously,
Gonna
you know,
happen.
there's things gonna happen. Sprinkler pipe's gonna be hit, and obviously your sprinklers have electrical valves and, you know, the low voltage
This is
that
what
is gonna become.
CAM is for.
Yes,
Yeah,
we,
Leo,
that's, we're definitely gonna be
property
good
wise
friends.
irrigation is all under me, up until the property lines, the 209 property lines, then it becomes to one, each of the maybe 6 different management companies that work on the property.
Yeah.
Management companies, in addition to you, are gonna be also critical in
And
On
helping
the
us.
timeline.
yeah.
See,
Yes, sir.
How many different projects do you guys manage at the same time? And do you have enough staff to manage all these?
Yes. Right now, we probably have 6, 7 of them that we're managing right in this area.
Some are
And-
concluding, some are just getting started.
And obviously, that's why we're taking this project, because we can manage this one for you.
So
So
you
that should not be a
personally will
problem.
be doing this?
I will be here, Marcel will be here, Nir will be here. So,
We'll always be here.
some, and obviously, they're full-time, so.
I'm going to rent a place over here, so.
Well, you can buy it, it may be cheaper.
He was talking about sprinkler systems, there's one company that has over 300 associations and they know where their sprinklers are.
Yeah, and that's, we wanna get, everybody that have knowledge about the property that is from here, obviously, that's, we wanna talk to them, we wanna make sure that we know what to avoid. So that's important.
It would be appreciated, really not part of this contract, but if in locating all these things, someone were to produce a map of where those sprinkler lines are. Because we know where those sprinkler heads are, but we really don't know.
The conduit routes.
Not even Seacrest knows where those pipes are, and some of them, well, it doesn't matter, cross onto the golf course, and it's a pain. This will be a pain for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Clearly, this is a city, this is a
It's-
city.
I can tell you, in
And-
90% of the development that we project manage, nobody have idea. People know in certain, oh yeah, I remember trenching or putting a pipe or fixing, cause a lot of time the trees will uproot your conduit, so you'll have to reroute. So it's not really, even the way it was built maybe 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, it's not the way it's today, because a tree, you know, you had to go reroute it, or because you had some kind of, and nobody kept as-bills. So one of the things that we wanna make sure is when we are done, or when Atlantic Broadband is done with their trenching, we provide you a as-built of their facilities, so you, at least you know where their facilities are.
Would it be of any value to tag perhaps 3 people here to work with these guys day in, day out? I don't see the need to
I
call a
think that's
meeting
great,
every 20
because-
minutes.
It's difficult to deal with 15, everybody has, but if we can funnel through those 3 people, that would be ideal, I think.
Obviously,
No, absolutely.
people at this table are candidates, I've already got one who's volunteered. And,
Do they know that they volunteered?
Mr.
Okay.
Roberts knows he's volunteered, he's very interested, but I need 2 more technical people, alright, Ken? You okay on that? Okay, so it'll be Barbara there. Sorry,
Your last name, Bob?
alright,
Rivera.
So who's the name?
Bob.
What is it, Bob?
you guys got cards?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We all have cards.
That's the name of my place.
Huh?
Yes, young lady,
Yes.
Bob Rivera
we'll take one.
and
I have a question, I know that you're
Oh,
gonna
thank
give
you.
reports on a monthly basis.
No, weekly,
Weekly basis.
yes.
So therefore, when we come near the end, or when we're done with contracts, you're gonna be able to know and come back months, 6
Like the
months in
picture.
advance and say,
Look at
listen,
the other side.
we're going to be very close,
pretty cool,
but we might be over this
Each one is
section.
different.
No, not vacant.
very nice.
Well, hopefully that doesn't happen.
If you need
But if it does
pictures of,
happen,
Right, so CSI is here for the lifetime agreement.
okay.
We are here for, the 10
I
years.
mean, I'm sure they're gonna get it, push them and have that whip back
Right,
to
but-
get them on
but the-
time. But you know, you never know, something can happen.
It could happen, but they better make it up, because basically Comcast, I'm sure is gonna hold the feet to the fire.
That's what I'm talking about.
So, but we're gonna know that 6 or 9 months prior to that.
That's what I'm saying, you'll know it's 6 months or prior if we're gonna run late in any section. because of reports we get.
Clearly.
Okay, that's all
And
I
when we then sit with they sit with an broadband.
How about security? Do you guys have security or any security
This
needs as
is the
far as
chief of
commercial?
security at Black, and he'll do everything that needs to be done for access issues.
No, not only that, for camera security, that you, is there anything for?
Yeah, what is your current, do you have cameras out in the community?
We have many cameras, but be specific, what is it you
Yeah,
want
how
to
many is
protect?
many? How don't we start there?
No, they're
Is there a need for additional cameras around the property?
Bandwidth.
Anticipated
You're talking to the
cameras later.
wrong guy, because if it was up to me, there'd be a camera everywhere.
Right.
I
Well,
give you as an example,
That's the
downtown
name
London,
of the.
you can't walk a block.
Okay, this is
That's
what,
your-
that's
Your
critical.
face hasn't
And I
been
have two.
scanned and run against national
These two.
criminal databases. Where we have a lot of cameras, but where do you need them to be?
It's
Okay,
not
let
us
me answer
needed
that.
it, yeah.
He wants-
The reason is that obviously if we tell Atlantic Broadband where, I don't know, I'll just pick a place back here. If someday you think you're gonna want a camera, we want to run fiber there.
now.
You'll install that camera
We'll leave it
on your own
dark.
budget, on your time, maybe 3-5 years from now.
Let's
But
think
you
about that.
should think 5 years, it would, a wish list of places where cameras may be useful to you. It doesn't necessarily mean that there'll be a camera, but we need to have A, fiber, and B, as we know very well, right?
Yeah.
We must have power there, right, because you can't, I mean, can you use
We gotta
solar
power the
for a
camera.
camera? Yeah, but it's costly at this point. So
I
you-
have been in some large communities like this where the entire perimeter was monitored with infrared cameras so that
We get,
Very expensive.
yeah, we gotta stay, I mean, we have a property, 2 properties like that, it's very, very
Yeah, some of these
expensive.
cameras get very expensive.
So, I mean, we wanna be
Does your
real.
security.
What's that?
Yeah.
in that particular community was AVM.
Alright, how about, can I get cards from you too?
I don't have a card, but I can send you an email
Yeah,
with all my
we
contact
all have
information.
all that.
Nowadays,
We do the same.
everybody is like, hey, you can send me an email with your contact, so I'll forward you an
Maybe,
email.
And you should put, certainly, your gates, we want fiber. When and if you install, LPR, license plate recognition, cameras and systems, it's up to you.
I tried that.
Prices are coming down.
Beautiful little camera in the road.
So we gotta have fiber there, so it's a lot cheaper to ask them to do it now.
Especially-
No cost to you, as much as think
Thank you.
5 years out or longer if you have, I don't know if you have 5-year plans, but basically where you would want to someday put a camera or put some kind of device.
It-
One of my
necessarily
folks,
a camera.
It's
You need
important,
surve-
it's important for
surveillance.
us to know that, because obviously in the design phase, we need to let them know, hey, we
Yes,
need some extra
definitely.
fibers. So that's if we can take an action item right now, this is important one to know
Yeah,
where additional
Where-
locations.
5, possibly 10, who knows?
Cause
what
it's,
the plans
it's
are.
cheap today to put a fiber, and incremental fiber cost is very minimal, it's not really expensive, but at least later on, they don't have to come and retrench. Same thing, if you guys need to have continuity between this facility to
We do.
another facility,
We do.
with data. Let's say you have phones over here and you have extensions in the other location, to connect all your community centers within this community, now it's the time to do it. So these are the things that you wanna look at. Again,
Yeah, now.
speeding, people might be speeding around in the community, you might wanna put some,
22.
things like that.
For instance, do you have any plans to change lighting along these main roads or not?
This
Because-
this is something we're looking at, to swap out and put in LED, high intensity LED.
And that's,
I did that
He
project in
did this
Deerfield,
At Deerfield. What was the payback on that project?
13 months
In 13, you had your money back.
in electricity.
But
one thing that you
this is
guys
what-
want.
This is what we want though, if you know you're gonna put lighting someplace, we wanna run fiber along that road. Because
What about
Yes.
Something called small cell.
small cell and Wi-Fi as well.
Hmm.
So if you think you may want it and you may not do the actual LED project until you have budget for it and all that, it's up to you. But we wanna run fiber everywhere that you foresee.
Why do we need fiber at a street light?
Because nowadays they're incorporating small cell and Wi-Fi into the LED, so that's becoming your access point. standards.
we had a big stink with FPL about putting Wi-Fi antennas on their light poles.
No, it's not, it's actually
No,
involved.
I understand, this is a few years.
It's a light bulb.
I have a very bad,
Philips, you can look online, you know, it has a,
I have a very bad
It's not a
taste
smart
in my
bulb,
mouth
it's
over
called
this.
small cell. It's
Because
Wi-Fi.
I wanted to light this whole campus up, alright? But it was too much, too fast, and people weren't going to go for it. And I still think it was a mistake, but I agree with you. It's something whose day will come. When all this content, all these boxes will go away and all the content will be in the cloud. And if you have enough bandwidth, you just pull down what you want,
Well,
right?
there's a discussion right now is pretty much bring in device maybe slightly bigger than that, put it in your house and all your TVs will be wireless. All your devices, most of your devices today are
yeah,
wireless.
we're getting ahead of
You know,
ourselves, but.
so,
what
but
we
obviously
need from
that's kind of maybe 10 years down the road. We've seen it a little bit
Roku on
today.
steroids.
What we need for you to do is to look to the future. And just, even if you never end up using a piece of fiber here, if you think you're gonna need it there, tell us now. Because it's part of the, we'll put it on Atlantic Broadband to make sure they put fiber wherever, you know, we feel that you're gonna need it in the next 5 years. Whether you use it's gonna be a matter of your budget, your priority, you know, whatever it is that you need
Because-
to put on there, but it's time to think about it.
Later on, the budgets will be much higher if they don't have that facility there.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
if you have a fiber access point, I mean, it's really not Wi-Fi access point, it's fiber access
Fiber,
point.
yeah.
You know, that makes it your project much cheaper than if they didn't have any fiber or enough fiber capacity in that area.
Will fiber to the streetlights eventually relieve me of the job of driving around in the middle of the night in a golf cart looking for burnt out streetlights?
Absolutely, because
Sure,
it's
you can
smart.
monitor it.
They do.
It's
That's one of the applications
they-
for LED in parking areas.
yeah, I just came from a presentation in Philadelphia where they did a project with Pico, I think it's the power company
Pico,
there, yeah. And basically for the Democratic National Convention, they did a smart grid in that whole area and all that. It basically eliminated issues with obviously things being out because they're smart lighting. It's smart, it tells you when it burned out, it tells you when there was something wrong, it tells you the consumption, when was it used, so it's pretty, that is not only the future, it's already the present, is what is being done now.
Am I wrong to assume that this company is actually doing a lot more than what they originally contracted for?
We want them to push for that.
No, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just saying that you're actually gonna try and bring Century Village into the present.
This is the vision of this committee, this is what these guys have been working on for 2
I think
years,
this is a good thing.
it's a great thing.
For all the naysayers that are out there, I don't wanna insult anyone, but
Well, fiber is really the
That's my
future, I
comment.
mean, you're limited with
Yes.
fiber is really your imagination, so you can put, it's got an infinite capacity on it. The only limitation today is the equipment on both sides.
I think
So-
this is great.
It is great, it's great for this community, we gotta build the network, then you add a whole bunch of things later. But this has been the vision of this committee for the last 2 years that we've been looking at this thing, these guys have looked at all these things, it's been a pretty proactive group that has looked at all these things, but change doesn't come easy and people do resent, change and all that, but it's about just
It's
setting it
time-
up
Time
as
to
a
get rid of
network,
the covered wagons.
okay?
Exactly.
I can see no one objecting to what you've been saying because it is forward thinking. We may not use it today, tomorrow, the next year,
Absolutely.
but if it's there
It's gonna be.
and then the technology matches what we're doing, then not only can we save money, but it benefits the people living here. And it's easy to sell than selling something that is going to be gone tomorrow.
And the price goes down over time.
Right.
Yes, yes.
The more users you have, the cheaper it gets.
Yeah,
Or the less expensive, it's not a cheap product, it's less expensive
no,
product.
you have to pay to save later.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you have that pipe, and I'm calling the fiber a pipe,
Mhm.
you can pump anything you want down that, building automation, security, access control. which is a huge issue here.
It's basically, the seminar that I was at is it's smart city, so this is a smart community. Smart city, smart community. This is a city.
Because this is the first time I've heard that you would be, this is what we were going to do or could do. And I think it's really a very, very good idea. And it plays well
You guys know
with
the.
our population.
You guys know the community inside out. You guys are here every day. You guys, that's the feedback that we are looking from you, is to know, hey, is that, I mean, if we can't do it, we'll tell you, or if Atlantic Broadband can't do it, they'll tell us as well. But at least that's kind of, hey, this is something that would be nice.
I mean,
Can you incorporate that into the build, or is there a way to do that? So we can help you with that, and, you know, we can push
By the
them a
way,
little
you
bit.
know, and again, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but more and more, we're gonna get healthcare in our homes. So rather than you having to go to your doctor, so if you have that network that's capable of that,
To carry
now
that.
have enabled all these kind of different.
And that's what we spoke about earlier, is people are saying, well, why do I need that fast speed? Well, because of things like that you'll be able to stream live to your doctor who might be sitting in another state and communicate to them real time. And kind of, they can diagnose you with certain features, you know, that you're gonna be able to connect to the internet, and they can take your pulse and whatever vital signs they need to take in order to make it happen. So it's maybe not today, but think about 5 years down the road.
Actually,
I do that.
we have people who are doing that.
I do that right now.
Yeah.
They monitor, the Wi-Fi monitors my heart.
Yep.
And a few other things that's in my body.
Unfortunately, a lot of that, unfortunately, don't have the bandwidth in many cases.
You will.
Think about it, yeah.
It's being done on cell phone frequencies, and it
Yep.
gets very expensive.
Yeah.
But it's, yes, we have people who
But-
are doing it.
Think about it, if you have an entire 8,000 unit community
Right.
to it at the same
Yeah.
time, do you
Right.
think you're gonna
We have a lot of
maintain that same
cell
speed on a cell phone, and guarantee you're overcrowding the towers?
No
So-
one is more excited about all this than I am, believe me. But I want you to look at this bell curve. Okay? The number of people who are at that state of knowledge are out there someplace at the asymptote.
Sure.
The vast majority of our people want to come home at night, they're right in here, they wanna turn on Channel 5 and watch the news. So let's not get overly exotic.
Correct.
But some of this thinking is brilliant, and obviously, we're gonna, I don't know what the cost factors are gonna be, but we do wanna look at this fiber.
Right, all we're
tracks
asking
the lighting
you- for
network.
you to
That's
do
great.
is not to commit to anything, other than we'll tell Atlantic Broadband, okay, we need fiber there, here, even if you don't use it for the next 5 or 7 years.
No,
But
I
because
got
we can't ask them 5 or 7 years from now, hey, can you run fiber for free? I can say, it's not in a contract.
They can run it, but not for
Are we
free.
gonna
You're
have,
right.
Leo, are we gonna have a contract with these folks, or? are we gonna-
Absolutely, there will be a proposal, a scope of work, a contract. By the way, the money's allocated to be paid by them.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna see, you're gonna see the bills from, UCO's gonna see them from them to UCO, and then, but they're gonna be
Yes, a
given to Atlantic
reimbursement.
Broadband, Atlantic
I get
Broadband
you.
will reimburse you for those and all that, so.
One of the key things here is the term security, because we have it in our security meetings and the comments made at our delegate assembly. People come in here and complain, they see this one walking, that one climbing over the fence, and all kinds of other things. Anything that could be done to make Century Village more secure by having things like this set up to set people's minds at ease works for us. And it's important that people who live here not only know that, but those who are coming in to buy will know that we have this potential setup to make the community even more secure than it is now.
And that's one of the things that, why, you guys know that you have a certain areas in this community that probably
Most
will benefit
acceptable.
from a camera or two. So these are the places that we like to hear. So when we incorporate the design, or when we look at the design, we make sure that they drop a couple extra fibers in that location.
I liked his comment about the infrared fence. I love
They're
that.
expensive.
Very
They're
expensive.
expensive.
I love it.
I can
We
tell you
looked at
that,
it recently, how much were they, $7 grand or 10 grand a piece or more?
well, I can
20
tell you
grand.
for a property about half the size of this one is about $750,000. For a property half
But
that
you-
size.
But you may have that in your plan to, in your security
Now-
committee and all that, I don't know.
Now, here's something that they
We
were.
look at WPRF's budget, don't we?
Here is something that they looked and they kind of backed away from that. For a long time, they negotiated, we brought bunch of different companies to look, to present, and they backed away because they said that the majority of the break-ins were not from people jumping the fences.
That's right.
So that's
Vendors,
their,
visiting,
It's your neighbor.
inside
it's
job.
your neighbor, it's your person maybe cleaning the
Yeah, that's a
house
good point.
and doing a really good job cleaning the house, you know, things like that, you know, that's what they find out that's
Or a contractor.
Alright,
exactly, I mean, you know, but these are the things, that's what they found, so they said the cost of investing so much, and that's not also included, now you have all the perimeters, now you have to set up a knock center to look at all the different events of,
Intelligent
Deer-
software to manage all that.
you know, so that's the costy, I mean, that's
Was it
up
a four-legged
front.
animal or was
Yes.
it a human?
I had a long talk with a detective that works a lot on campus. The big situation is here, a caregiver comes in. A resident dies, a truck pulls up, the apartment gets looted. Nobody raises an eyebrow. And I planted in his head the idea of this thing. Very complex, very expensive, but you're right, a lot of the crime against our senior citizens generated right here.
Inside job.
What's the next step, Leo?
Next step is to get a contract, a proposal, scope of work and everything else, put in front of you guys.
And then you need to come up with a list of requirements.
Yeah, the other things is that, and then they will immediately, and you've already contacted Atlantic Broadband to meet with them.
All of this stuff we're discussing is marvelous, but the requirement, the principal requirement is to keep Atlantic Broadband on target.
Schedule.
100%.
To finish this job in time.
Yeah, so
That is
that's
the
how-
requirement.
Do you wanna talk about basically what you expect the
So-
front field, the personnel, the frontline personnel for Atlantic Broadband to do on a daily basis?
Yeah, so daily basis, they give us an update, they
Through the smartphone.
through an app that we developed on a
Integrated.
smartphone. That they actually fill out, you know, key items, I mean, we don't need to know certain things, but certain things are the key item. How many feet of trench, if we know that we have 1,000,000 feet to trench over here, how many feet did they trench today? Are we on target? We're gonna evaluate how many units did we install on a daily basis to make sure that, you know, the number's gonna need to add up to obviously your end date, which is 2 years from today. So, or maybe even less than 2 years by now. But there's constantly a evaluation of where they are and where they need to be. And like I said, if we have a whole week of rainy weather, it's gonna slow
gotta make
down
it up.
production.
But they gotta
Somehow
make it
we're
up.
gonna figure out how to make it up.
You gotta crash the schedule
And,
somehow.
you know, do they need to bring an extra crew over here?
An extra company, I mean,
an ex-
we run into where we're looking at, if he's looking at it and said, if at this production rate and the number of people that contract has, you better get another contractor or two.
Yep.
That happens all the time.
And one other thing is, remember, they don't finish an entire area soup to nuts. They do the
Oh,
backbone
yes.
first.
Yes.
They do the
Restoration.
the drops next.
Well, we
And then
need to
they
look,
actually do the in-unit install last.
so we need to look at the restoration as well, obviously, you know, they go through an area, we don't want them to leave a pile of dirt laying around and obviously it's an eyesore, so we need to make sure restoration is clean, all their.
We had an issue at Naples Lakes, right, near, with sod, they delivered a
Yeah.
whole bunch of pallets of sod. And it sat there for 2-3 weeks, guess what, it didn't rain.
It didn't
So we said,
rain,
okay, you
so-
need to throw that away, you need to
So-
get fresh sod. We'll give you the fact that it's not raining, so we basically said, come back, was it at the end of May?
Yeah, no, we, actually June, when it starts raining and then we replace all the sod over there, so we made them move the old one, the new, old, and do it again, so, I mean, whatever satisfies the community, that's what our goal is. So, we're looking on your, happiness.
Yeah, but they have
that's it.
different, to Marcel's point, they have different crews working on different things. They have a sod restoration, they have other things, a quality control, and they're different crews, so there's gonna be a lot of
So,
different.
so you'll have exposed conduits coming out of the ground, which will have to make sure, have caution tape around them and not, people don't bump into them. You may have an open trench for a couple hours during the day and you don't want someone falling in and then generating a lawsuit.
Do we need RFPs, statements of work, I mean?
You know, all those things, scope of work, a contract, what the timelines,
I'll provide
sample of your work, this report plus, Gantt charts, flow charts, all those kind of things.
I'll provide you a scope of work for the portion of the work that we're gonna be doing, and then, we can go from that point, take it, the next step.
2 years sounds like a long time. Time flies when you're having fun.
Oh my god.
Better yesterday than later, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're talking this week,
We-
right? Can you
This
convince
needs
me
to
something
move
this week?
along briskly.
So, I mean, you're looking at it as 2 years because obviously that's the due date. We don't wanna be here the day before it's need to be activated. We wanna leave already a month before, and say, okay, everything is up and running, you're all set. So that's, we were even more than a month earlier. I mean, I wanna be comfortable. I'm sure you guys wanna be comfortable at the same time. I mean,
It's gonna keep some of us awake, I think,
yes.
as
Me.
the deadline approaches.
So the goal is technically, I'm going with the knowledge of 15 months, year and a half, 16 months, 18 months, that's that kind of range.
Has anybody ever missed a deadline?
No.
What happens if they do?
Well, I'm not sure if in a contract, but sometimes there is a contractual obligation that they have if they miss that deadline.
There are consequences in the
Right.
contract.
There are,
Yes, and
But
that's why
yes.
they don't wanna be there. But
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
The thing is, the key is they don't wanna be
So I was
paying,
looking.
to Comcast at this
I
point.
know, I understand.
But we put pressure on them obviously to have, if they set up a schedule, a timeline, we hold them to that timeline. If we don't, obviously that's when we bring Leo and we bring them and say, listen, guys, you guys gave us the timeline, stick to it. It's not acceptable, obviously. We all agree on a timeline, stick to it. So that's the
With
key.
flexibility, if for
Yeah.
some reason they're having one issue in a particular area, well,
Yeah,
go on to the next phase. We don't like that, we like for them to complete a phase that
So
they
you
told
let
us.
us know.
yeah, we wanna allow them to go to phases before
Right.
they complete another
Yeah.
phase and leave
Right.
that one in the whole mess. I mean,
In other-
complete
in
the
other words, we
phase,
don't
go
wanna
to the
know-
next
We
one.
don't wanna know a week before, we wanna know 6 months before, if you think they're falling behind on it.
Exactly,
right?
no, we
Okay,
will
so-
let you guys know, you guys will know, I mean, we wanna keep you guys in the loop. And obviously, all of us will decide how we're gonna deal with that, I mean, how to hold them accountable for it.
Yeah. Leo, when do you anticipate we'll have a contract for these guys?
At the end of this week, by the end of this week.
That's pretty good.
Right, it's gonna be slow on the Atlantic propane side, they have a lot of planning to do. I mean, honestly, I don't think that they begun to, I know, I spoke with them last week, and Marcel, you will as well. They don't have a game plan today,
So
they don't.
Their backroom people should be honest, they're engineers, what do they need to know
Your
about
easements,
this village?
you need to provide them your easements.
Did you just hear that?
Yeah.
I think you already have the easement because.
Yeah, they
That's part of the
literally
contract.
have to,
Our our position is, this is just another public utility.
Sure.
If you are talking about legal easements
no, we're not,
and lawyers.
no, we're not. What Marcel is referring to is that we need site plans, whatever method you have them, whether if you have them
They
in
should,
paper form, great. and we'll scan them and give it to them. If you have plans, we prefer to have plans that are,
Plans,
that, what?
as-built building plans?
No, site
No, no, no.
plans.
The site,
plans.
the site.
Site plan, do you have them digitized?
Yeah, we have maps,
Maps digitized,
yes.
great. So these guys will work with them
Leo,
to get a list of what they need and what you have and provide a Dropbox here and there. Yes, sir.
Leo, Reagan pretty much closed, he's done, I don't think we're gonna see him again. Has Atlantic Broadband designated a spot yet for us that we can contact?
They're in the process of hiring some additional people. Again, this is I know they've already hired somebody that I happen to know, you know, I believe Charlie Roberts.
Will this be a demand, will this be our spot,
Well, this,
our single point of contact?
we're gonna let them tell us. We don't need to dictate.
That's
who
what
that is.
we're trying to determine who
But
they're
the other,
gonna
the other
visit.
meeting we're gonna have here with this group is the local manager.
Okay.
Because that local manager is in charge of construction, customer service, technical
My
operations.
concern here is I think we're in a transition period now where Reagan has done his job, but we
Yeah.
don't, you know, if it's Mr. Roberts, great, but you know, right
No,
now,
no, no, we,
who's the man?
what we expect is to have a lot of meetings here, whenever they, even before they actually have the design, we need to meet their local team, that is the local general manager, it's a lady. And she has a construction manager reporting to her, technical operations reporting to her, the NOC reporting to her, customer service.
Right.
And everything else, so we need to meet her and her team, so they need to come here, introduce themselves and give us name, contacts, you know, phone
I
numbers,
assume that'll be
email.
soon, right?
We're
I
gonna
mean, we will
schedule it.
fill up the void as the time goes,
Okay.
but as it's roll, and it will be very soon, we'll start filling up all the voids that you
Yes,
have right now
yeah.
as far as information, how we
People,
going to
names.
transfer information, and what
Sense-
timing of the information.
Sense some fuzziness.
No, there definitely is, because we're dependent on them to clear the fuzziness.
Alright.
We're the conduit back to you, we'll schedule meetings with you guys. We'll have them meet us here with their team. And then we'll meetings with their contractors. Who did you choose? Okay, who are they? They'll be vetting them. Do we know who they are, their strengths and weaknesses? You know, I'll tell you, and I won't mention the company, but I think you're familiar with them, where they are not used to doing a lot of fiber. And we had challenges where they hired contractors, that didn't have a lot of fiber to the home experience, we went through that experience. So we wanna know who they are, who are they, what's
I
their
mean, that's our
experience.
job will be to produce
Right.
all the information that you need.
You guys will know if they're leasing fiber outside the village.
We would, yeah, that's all part of the plan, the documentation, you know.
Is that normal?
Yes,
Very-
and
very
the one
much
thing
so.
that, to make it clear, we work for you guys. We don't work for Atlantic Broadband, we work for you guys. So, I mean, any information that you guys need, we need to provide it to you guys and we'll work with you guys closely with the point of contact that you guys provided us just now, so.
Someone just said something, and it's very important. I asked Reagan
I'm all set.
3 times, will you be leasing fiber between here and Miami? His response was very fuzzy. He said they want to own it.
They need to tell us
Are
specifically.
they gonna trench new fiber, which means permits out the wazoo to come up
That's all
either
part of what they
95
will
or
find out.
whatever? Or are they just going to lease some, there's plenty of fiber between here and Miami.
I can tell you that you matter the Google releases fiber from other companies.
I can't confirm or deny that,
Thank
but you know, but at the same time, I can tell you that people used to think, oh, I have AT&T in my house, but I mean, when there was a long distance carrier, but they were leasing fiber from somebody else. Everybody's listening from everybody because they might have more capacity in one area, somebody else more capacity in another area. You don't know whose fiber you're riding. Sometimes it's actually better to lease fiber because if for some reason there is some kind of a damage to the fiber, they can reroute very quickly. So there is redundancy on these. You know, if Atlantic Broadband might be building their own fiber in parallel to leasing fiber from somebody else, we probably, I mean, the reason that Reagan maybe couldn't confirm or deny that.
He's a sales guy,
He's-
sales manager.
He doesn't know the infrastructure as well as, in the business, the operation side, he's more probably in the sales, so, you know, that's why, but at the end of the day, probably if that was my property, this one, you know, I would probably lease the fiber and then parallel work and build another one or get a redundant route.
That was my concern, because the contract is very clear. These guys are going to be working on premises. It really doesn't open the door to getting involved in that link from Miami. And I think that link is very important. Just
It's
to
critical, I
know-
think Ken is saying that, I agree with him.
Well, you said that they have another property that they promised a year from now.
Yeah.
In this area.
Yes,
And that's why it leads me to believe that they could probably, I mean, it's obviously not cheap to rent fiber for Miami. They're probably gonna build, because that's a community, an area that they would love
they also
to
wanna
expand.
service business along the way,
That they wanna expand,
So-
so it's probably an opportunity for them.
yes.
It's like you're building, they'll come, in this case, they're actually building and providing some. So I think it's kind of combination between both. Again, it's something, to me, that's it's something that they're gonna be doing, is leasing the fiber from somebody, cause it's already there, they can deploy day one and then build it now, to do a redundancy.
Okay, well, thank you for your time, there's a lot to
Thank
do,
you.
Mr. Corbin.
You also need to consider, we discussed this before the tape started. Has to do with providing a staging area for their vehicles and storage.
It's, we don't need to identify it right now, but it's something to think about. If you can give us, because we're gonna need to
Closer
sit
they are
with
to the
them.
property already.
They're gonna need to let us know is how many, obviously, one of the things that, believe it or not, is porta potty. I mean, they obviously gonna have people working here, so we need them to, you know, have a place where they can use the facilities.
Yeah.
Also,
So
access for the gate, the main gate, or side gates.
that's, we need to figure out how we allow all the vehicles. One thing is that we make sure that every single vehicle that's gonna be on site have a decal on.
Ed Black is our chief of security. He makes sure everybody who needs access will get it.
Well, but we wanna make sure that if they don't come here with the right decals, they don't go in a gate. So they get stopped, so we need to make sure that we coordinate it so they are fully identified when they drive into the facilities. Cause again, they're gonna have subcontractors, their subcontractors may or may not, you know, have a permanent decals on the vehicles.
Okay, so we'll, they'll have something to you by the end of the week, we will set up they'll set up meetings with Ohio Broadband to figure out what it is, where are they today, how soon are they gonna be able to give us information, and then we'll set up the meetings.
Thank you very much.
Plenty of meetings.
Thank you.
Alright. Thank you.
Saved your butt,
Leo,
but I
thank you.
Now I'll give you a
Be in touch.
Yes.
This is my spotting
Great to
report.
see you. Happy Monday after.
So I'm the one that's gonna be in contact with you. Okay, here you go.
Thank you very much.
Check out the temperature, nothing wrong.
Oh, perfect.
Not the editor for the paper.
Okay,
So I'm gonna
perfect.
be the one that's gonna be in touch with you day before.
Absolutely.
Film, we'll be doing film, we'll be doing a lot, we're a lot
I'll
more.
make sure I comb my hair before I come here.
Yes, we're a lot more sophisticated than you think we are. We have
Oh, no, no.
we have two channels right now that we're running and we have a paper that runs about
Us too.
2 pages every month.
We're on
Right.
track.
So, and we have some.
Don't let anybody escape.
We'll give you the coverage, whatever you give us, okay?
Absolutely.
And I'll be in touch with you.
Perfect, thank you.
On its beginning.
All these additional options are,
Good job, Bill.
additional
See ya.
4 or 5 security cameras around.
Absolutely. But keep in mind, they'll bring the fiber, there is beyond the responsibility to bring power.
Near as I
Not
can
so
tell.
hard
there's
to
no
know.
motion.
What are they, how are they gonna look at that?
Expect
Do
you
you
to
guys
install
accept
fiber.
Dead end of the
We
line.
can talk to them about it and say, look, I mean, it's not gonna cost you anything to put the fiber over here.
Did they talk about having an additional 7 or 8 drops?
Yeah, Bill Adams.
And then they talked about doing a couple of things for us, like here.
We can clear it up, but I think